The much-awaited trailer of Geetu Mohandas' Toxic starring rocking star Yash has finally been released, and my one-word honest reaction is
खत्म, bye bye, टाटा, गया.
just joking. The trailer is good, it definitely has more pluses than minuses, and it tells a lot about the world of Toxic, the backstory of Raya and Ganga, and the conflict between Raya and Raya's son, Ticket. But it also has issues, especially with how the trailer has been cut.
Daddy's home.
3 shots, this one where a woman is stabbing a man in the heart, this one where someone is getting shot, and this one where we see someone in chains, tell everything about the story. And if you are not following, don't worry, it's alright. I'll explain everything with examples. All the teaser trailers released till now, including the last Ladies and Ladies trailer, help stitch a plausible story, and this new trailer validates everything. By being almost 5 minutes long, each and every frame of this trailer justifies why the title of the movie is Toxic. And one thing is for sure, I'm not watching this movie in Hindi because the dubbing was really bad. It's either Kannada or English for me because some of the dialogues dubbed in Hindi sounded completely out of place. And this is a big problem because KGF earned a lot of money in the Hindi belt. If Toxic wants to tap that market, the dubbing has to be better. Right now, it's extremely bad. 3 things I loved about the trailer, and it's okay if you disagree. Firstly, I liked how each character of the movie got a limelight moment in the trailer. Be it Kiara Advani's psychotic dialogue delivery, Huma Qureshi's infectious laugh, or Tara Sutaria's desperation. There is an elevation moment for each character, including Rukmani Vasan's moment, which I'll cover later in the video.
Hello, Daddy.
Secondly, Yash carries the trailer and will carry the movie as well. I like the clean-shaven look of Yash, but not the antics he performs. It felt a lot of overacting just for grabbing attention. There was nothing substantial. The child actor playing the role of Raya's son Ticket was also very convincing, especially in this shot. Thirdly, this movie is not for everyone. If you cannot handle intense, excessive action with bloodshed or steamy on-camera scenes, then this movie is not for you. In my last Toxic video, I had mentioned how love and betrayal will play a big part in the movie, and it won't be handled as gracefully as expected. So as the warning says, it's not for everyone. Along with all this, there are many open questions. What roles are Sanjeeda Sheikh and Akshay Oberoi playing? What is the conflict between Raya and his son Ticket? And what is this climax? Because it looks a lot like
कुछ भी.
In this video, I'll cover my first impressions as well as the story part. But before we begin, let me know in the comments which was your favorite moment from the trailer. Let's get started.
Be ready to battle chaos with chaos.
Before we get into the story, let's talk about the trailer itself, the good and the bad, because there's plenty of both. Starting with the good, the first thing that hit me was the color language. Every time we are in the circus world, it's neon, pink, gold, almost dreamlike. And the second we cut to the underworld side of the story, it drops into this dirty, textured, almost sweaty color grade. 2 completely different visual languages for 2 halves of the same man's life. And that contrast alone tells you more about Raya than half the dialogue does. The scale on this thing is genuinely massive. Rajiv Ravi's camera work gives Goa this dark, textured, almost fairy tale gone wrong look. The action also feels different from what Yash has done before. There's a hand-to-hand brawl in the graveyard that plays out messy and brutal, almost uncomfortable to watch. And then 2 scenes later, you get this stylized slow motion gun sequence that's pure spectacle. JJ Perry clearly gave us not 1 but 2 flavors of action. Toxic does look a lot like KGF, but it has its own world, which I'll talk about later in the video when I cover the story part. Like I said earlier, every actor gets a moment, and specifically the women in this cast are not just standing around looking pretty. Each of them have strong character arcs. Nayanthara's Ganga has her own motivations. Tara Sutaria's Rebecca has her own fairy tale expectation. Huma Qureshi's Elizabeth is out for revenge. Kiara Advani's Nadia is stuck between love and betrayal, and Rukmani Vasan's Melissa steals the show for me. Every time she's on screen, she just commands it. Even in a trailer packed with 5 other big names, she's the one that stood out for me.
Who the hell are you? I'm his regular. Who the hell are you?
I'm his permanent.
Now for the bad, and I've got more than one issue here. Firstly, the pacing genuinely lost me on my first watch. We jump between at least 3 different time periods, sometimes within the same 10 seconds. And if you haven't been watching the earlier teasers closely, you will absolutely lose track of who's who and where we are in the story. I had to rewatch this trailer and the past ones in slow motion at least twice just to place things in order. But to be fair, it's alright for a general audience. When the movie plays on the screen, it will add up nicely. This judgment is just for the trailer, not for the movie.
I'm home, Daddy.
Secondly, the visual effects are messed up in more than just one shot, like here, and you can tell D-Neg has cut corners on the effects here. Yes, D-Neg is doing the visual effects for Toxic as well, and it's okay if you are wondering if this is why the Ramayan trailer has some poor VFX shots. Thirdly, and this is a smaller gripe, but the circus aesthetic and the gutter level gang violence sit right next to each other without much of a bridge between them. One moment it's glamorous and theatrical, the next it's someone getting a knife in the chest. It works as a tonal choice. This is clearly the point, chaos meeting chaos, but a couple of transitions, especially the fight scene of Ticket, felt jarring rather than intentional, at least to me. Even the climax fight scene is a typical mass action scene, which I don't know how we are still open to accepting this level of unrealism. And then there's the mute scene, which honestly caught me off guard. I'm still not sure it was necessary for what it's trying to say. My first reaction was the comparison with Ranbir Kapoor in Animal. The way Sandeep Reddy Vanga shot it, with the background music and all the character context before it, made it one of the most cinematic shots of the movie. With Toxic, other than the dialogue, I'm not sure what to make of it. I'll let you decide that one for yourselves.
I was hoping to have a civilized conversation.
Do I look civilized to you?
So overall, visually this might be one of the most ambitious movies of Yash's career, and the layered storytelling across multiple timelines is genuinely impressive once you catch up to it. But as a first watch experience for someone walking in the cold, it's a lot to process, and I don't think that's an accident, because here's the thing, once you actually slow down and rewatch this trailer frame by frame, there is a shockingly detailed story hiding underneath all that chaos. And that's what I actually want to get into now. So let's talk about the first shot, the one where a woman is stabbing a man in his chest. Watch closely, a man is holding a small baby in his arms right when the knife goes in and the blood sprays directly onto that baby. Toxic is a fairy tale for grown-ups, and here that fairy tale starts with the welcoming of a baby, not with milk but with blood. And that baby is of course Raya, clearly signifying that Raya didn't learn violence somewhere down the line. Violence was written into his fate with his first breath. It's a symbolic way of how a director wants to open the story of Raya.
एक एक करके आओगे या एक साथ आओगे?
Now right after that opening, we get introduced to Sanjita Sheikh's character, who is most likely a sex worker going by the old 10 rupee notes in her hands. The very next cut is a young orphan boy, a young Raya, and right after that a young girl who grows up to become Nayanthara's character Ganga, which is proven by one simple detail, the same mark near her nose that Nayanthara has. So the theory here is Raya and Ganga are both orphans, raised in the shadow of Sanjita Sheikh's character. That's where Raya's whole worldview about women gets painted early. The idea that every woman's body has a price, which is exactly why later at the circus, he looks Kiara Advani's character dead in the eye and asks her how much she charges. Which at first sounds immoral and outright cheap, but it's how the character has grown up amidst his surroundings. Now Toxic is set in Goa, there is the underworld, there are gang wars, and amidst all this chaos, Ganga and Raya grow up. Ganga's only ambition is to want Raya to rule this entire city. She's obsessed with it, and it is this obsession that becomes the anchor for both her character and honestly for the whole plot. Raya grows up, builds his own crew, and starts swallowing up smaller players in Goa's underworld one by one, until he runs into someone way bigger, Salvador, this guy from the trailer. Now here you have to stitch together all the trailers that have been released, the Raya introduction, the Ladies and Ladies trailer, and this new one, and you will be able to make sense of the graveyard sequence. Salvador has a younger brother played by Kyle Paul. That brother's son gets killed by Raya's men in an earlier conflict. The family goes to bury the boy. The entire burial scene we already saw in the Raya teaser. Paul's character standing over a tiny coffin asking,
Think you'll come? Nobody's so insane.
Except Raya does show up in that vintage car of his and wrecks the entire graveyard. Ganga shows up right behind him. Between the two of them, they nearly finish off Paul's men until Salvador himself arrives with backup and captures both of them. There's also a line where Raya says,
तेरे भाई को जला के उसकी राख से लाइन बना के अंदर खींचना चाहता हूँ. खींचने देगा?
It does sound insane out of context, but that too has to do with what Raya did growing up as a child. He used to dig up graves and rob jewelry of corpses, which is why this dialogue is an ordinary conversation for him, not a threat. This same sequence is also where we get to see Huma Qureshi's character, Elizabeth. Given the timing, she's probably connected to Salvador's family, maybe Paul's wife, maybe Salvador's own wife. Raya and Ganga obviously survive the graveyard and Salvador probably gets killed too, making Elizabeth the sole survivor, and from there her revenge arc begins. Her one and only goal, take back what was lost and everything away from Raya. In between the shots, we also see Akshay Oberoi's character Tony, and here is where we answer one of our open questions. Who is Akshay Oberoi's character and what's his role? And to answer that, let's look at this moment from the trailer where someone is getting shot. But before that, let's set some context. Raya meets Tara Sutaria's character Rebecca at a club, drinks a cigarette, and it turns into a full affair. And this is the first affair Raya has in the movie. Rebecca genuinely falls for him, as evidence from this dialogue.
It was supposed to be my fairy tale.
But Raya isn't built for that kind of loyalty, because in the very next shot, we see him gazing at a banner that goes up for the first time, announcing Nadia, a circus performer, hanging directly across from Raya's balcony. That poster unfolding is basically the story announcing a new chapter for Raya. Rebecca is completely broken by this, as I've mentioned earlier with the My Fairy Tale dialogue. Raya gets so consumed by Nadia that he stops running his business properly, and Ganga notices this. Seeing him distracted in love puts her entire life's mission of watching Raya rule this city at risk. Meanwhile, Raya and Nadia have a son together named Ticket.
It's time. I'm coming!
Now with that context, let's come back to the earlier shot where someone gets shot. There's a sequence where Nadia is kneeling. We have Elizabeth here, Ganga here. And right at the start of the sequence, there's a quick flash of someone getting shot. And when you slow it down, you will see someone who resembles Akshay Oberoi's Tony. Here is my theory, and I guess this is something which you all can guess too. Elizabeth finally gets her revenge. She uses the cracks in Raya and Nadia's relationship against them, plays some kind of game that turns them against each other, to the point where Nadia has to tell her own son that his father hates them. Nadia can't process that and starts falling apart, almost losing her mind. Remember that line from the start of the trailer, "You can hide your grief behind a mask, but not the ruin written into your fate." That's Nadia, not happy in her own life, forced to smile through a circus performer's mask every single day. And if Tony really is in that frame, he might be the one helping Elizabeth run this entire scheme, especially if his name ties back to Salvador's bloodline. Or maybe Raya starts believing Nadia's been having an affair with Tony. And why I say that is because of the very first scene. Raya starts suspecting Ticket isn't even his son, that Tony is the real father, and tries to kill the boy, but something stops him. Maybe because the kid is still Nadia's blood, and instead he sends Ticket far away. Raya drowns himself in alcohol after this. That's exactly when Rukmani Vasan's character Melissa walks into his life, and though we don't see a lot of her, it is evident that she stands alongside Raya during his traumatic years. Now shot number 3, the one with someone in chains, who is most likely Nadia. This is where the time jump happens. We hear Nadia say a line about being ready to fight chaos with chaos, and that lines up with a grown-up Ticket coming back to face Raya. He comes back with one goal: get revenge on his father and free his mother, who's apparently been held captive in chains for years by someone. Who exactly is holding her and why? You'll get to know that in the movie. Right after that, Ganga gets a line about how every decision comes with a price that has to be paid, and true to that line, the trailer closes with quick flashes of pretty much every major character in pain, grief or tears, all of them paying for the choices they made earlier. As for that climax, I honestly couldn't catch much because everything was moving just too fast. Too many fast cuts, too many jarring moments. I just hope it is not too much to process in the end.
You're goddamn right.
That's my take on the trailer of Toxic. A lot of story was unraveled, or rather I should say, made more clear, but there are still a lot of mysteries. Let me know in the comments what you think is actually going on with Nadia, and who do you think is holding her in chains. Subscribe if you haven't already, and check out my trailer reviews of Avarappan and The Paradise right here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.